Hi, everybody. Welcome back to First Chapter Friday. This month, we're going to be reading Ragweed by Avi. And the reason I picked this one is because we have a very popular series here by Avi called the Poppy series. And this is the book that started it all. So I actually hadn't read them before until I decided to do this First Chapter Friday. So I did read this one. It's absolutely adorable. And the illustrations alone are worth looking at this book. So, all right. Chapter 1 of Ragweed by Avi. All right, Chapter 1 Ragweed. Ma, a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do. Ragweed, a golden mouse with dark orange fur, round ears, and a not very long tail, was saying goodbye to his mother and father, as well as to 50 of his brothers and sisters. They were all gathered by the family nest, which was situated just above the banks of the brook. It is is it something about us that's making you leave home? His mother, whose name was Clover, asked tearfully. She was small and round with silky black eyes. "Aw, Ma, that's not fair," Ragweed replied, wishing he could leave without so much fuss. "I just want to see things. I am almost 4 months old now, I mean, the brook is wonderful, but, well, it's not the whole world." Ragweed's father, Valerian, drew himself up. He was long-faced and lanky, and his scruffy whiskers were touched with gray. "Now, son," he said, "no need to poke fun at us stay-at-homes." "I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to joke. All I'm doing is going off to explore, to see what else there is. Before settling down. I won't be gone long." "Will you absolutely promise to come back?" Clover asked. Though Ragweed had carefully slicked down his fur so that it was quite neat and proper, she found a small strand around his ear that required careful adjusting. But then, Ragweed was very special to her. "Of course I will," Ragweed assured her, trying to duck his mother's fussy fixing. And if you meet a young female mouse," Clover added gently, "one for whom you develop a fondness, just make sure that she really, really cares for you." Ragweed blushed. "Hey, Ma, I'm too young for that stuff. Anyway, if I'm going to get someplace today, I better start moving." This notice of his imminent departure caused Clover to fling her paws around Ragweed's neck and give him a snuzzle about his right ear. "Please, please be cautious," she whispered. "Promise me that you will." "I promise," Ragweed returned automatically. A reluctant Clover released her son. Valerian held out his paw. "Ragweed," he said, "you're a clear thinking, straight thinking, hard working young mouse, and I'm proud of you." Ragweed shook his father's paw. "Dad," he replied, "if I can be anything like you, that's good enough for me." Embarrassed by so much emotion, Ragweed looked sheepishly at his brothers and sisters. Of all those still at home, he was the eldest. Even among the older ones who had returned from nearby homes to say goodbye, Ragweed was the first to leave the area of the brook. Hardly a wonder that they were gazing at him with affectionate awe. But it was to Rye, his younger brother, by a few weeks that Ragweed went. Rye looked very much like Ragweed, save for a notch in his right ear, the result of an accident. "Okay, Rye," Ragweed said, giving his brother a mock punch on the shoulder. "You're the big kid in the nest now. You must take care of things. If you don't, hey, you're going to have to answer to me when I come back. Get it?" "I know," Rye replied with a grin, masking his annoyance that his older brother was still telling him what to do. Next, Ragweed tipped a wink to his favorite younger sister, Thistle. "See you around, kiddo," he called. "Oh, Ragweed, I'm going to miss you so much, she cried. Rushing forward, she gave Ragweed a big nuzzle. Ragweed, determined to be lighthearted, stepped back, gave a carefree wave, and set up off on a small hill, striding boldly towards the ridge that overlooked the little valley. Halfway up, he came to a larger boulder embedded in an outcropping of earth. There he paused and looked down at his family, who were still observing his departure. Though he wanted to move on, Ragweed kind of found himself lingering. Do you think he wasn't as ready as he thought? Let's find out. The spring air was brimming with a delicate sweetness. The vaulting blue sky seemed endless. The sun warm and embracing. Amid moss and grass, flowers had burst forth with youthful daring, a contrast to the shallow old brook, which wound lazily between low leafy banks, bearing pink and white water lilies on its wide surface. As for the tall trees that stood around, they were veiled in a downy green mist of just born leaves. What lay below Ragweed was not merely beautiful, it was home, his home. And there was his family, whom he loved so much, and he knew that they loved him. Hope I'm doing what's right, he thought with a sigh. Then, reminding himself out loud that a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do, he gave a wave, a final wave to his family, and he continued up that ridge. Ragweed had no notion where he was heading. He had consulted no one, planned little. I'll just go where a whim takes me, he told Rye. As Ragweed went along, he now and again broke into snatches of an old song. His voice was good, if rather low for a mouse, and he enjoyed singing. The song he trilled was one his family often sang on hikes and picnics. And I'm not going to sing this for you. Believe me, you will thank me later. But I'm just going to say the words, okay? This is the song. It says, a mouse will go a roving go along wooded paths and pebbled ways to places high and places low, where birds do sing neath sunny rays, for the world is full of mice. Oh, for the world is full of mice. Oh. The song carried him to the crest of yet another hill. There he paused again. The trail seemed to extend his toes straight out to the horizon. Look at the scene. That's what he's seeing for the first time. That's all that land, and he's used to seeing just a little brook with water. I can't believe it. I just to see it gave him the wonderful sensation that anything might happen. Anything. He took a deep breath. Oh, how delicious the sense of freedom felt. How fine that he and he alone was responsible for himself. He had not, he had not, he now realized, grasped how exciting it would be to grow up and strike out on one's own. The thought of it all brought a tingling from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. Energized anew, Ragweed stepped boldly along the trail, now and again squeaking out at the top of his voice, for the world is full of mice. Oh, and that is the end of chapter 1 of Ragweed by Avi. Now, I don't know about you. The reason I kept reading this is because I remember how this felt when I went off to college and I struck out on my own for the very first time. It is so exciting and so frightening and so worth it all at the same time. So, if you have a little sense of adventure in you, this might be a good book for you. So, we have it here at the library. Again, it's Ragweed by Avi. And thank you so much for hanging out and reading with me. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.